This is the second hour here on this terrific Thursday, March 5th, 2026 edition. Joining us on the line right now is the man, Perry Johnson. He's running for governor. He's spending a lot of money to get his name ID out there for this month, the month of March. And we're going to have a little sit down with him and have a cup of coffee. Good morning, Perry.
Well, good morning, Trucker. How you doing over there?
Oh, sunshine, blue sky, snow's melting. We're excited. Tigers are playing baseball. We are just having the love of our lives, brother. Hey, I want to ask you right out of the gate in this short segment, Perry. A lot of people have been seeing your commercials, running for governor, eliminating the state income tax, 4747. We've been playing the commercial here on the radio station and getting a lot of news, a lot of people taking notice, but nobody maybe even knows who you really are. Who is Perry Johnson? Where were you born? Where did you grow up? Childhood? Where did you go to school?
Well, I grew up in a town called Dalton, Illinois, and I grew up in about a 600 square foot house. And my dad was a pilot in World War II, and my mother was a nurse in the Army WACS. They met in Europe, and they loved this country. So from the beginning of time, I have always thought that this is the greatest country in the world. And my dad would say that in America, anything is possible. Now, I didn't have a lot of money growing up, but I had a wonderful life. I was a pretty normal kid, except for the fact that I liked to play every sport under the sun. And my mother would get so mad at me because I would be out there playing from dawn until dusk. When we had summer vacation, I used to think the 3 months was the longest 3 months in the world because it was so wonderful to have all that time to play.
Sure.
I went to elementary school at St. Mary's in Riverdale. It's a short distance from where I lived, and it was a Catholic school. I remember my first teacher, Sister Mary Dolores. I had her. And I remember her in second grade. I had her in eighth grade. We had about 28 kids in the class, and we had the same teacher for all courses. And in second grade, I wanted to be the Pope. I wanted to be the first American Pope.
Oh, yeah.
So I was very much into it. The reason I bring up St. Mary's is that it's very interesting because that is the same school that our Pope attended. He lived only a few blocks from me. In fact, my brother was in his class.
Oh,
so
darn.
We ended up having the first American Pope come from our parish.
Right. But, it just wasn't Perry Johnson.
It wasn't Perry Johnson. No, what happened was, I think it was sixth or seventh grade, Mary Ellen Miller. I realized I was attracted to girls, and there was no way that I was going to be a priest.
A priest
wasn't going to make it.
Hey, was that for point of clarification, Perry? Was that Riverdale, Michigan, or Riverdale,
Illinois? Riverdale,
okay.
Illinois. I grew up in Dalton, Illinois. I lived a few blocks from the Pope.
Got it. Well, listen, we're gonna continue this on the other side, and also talk about then your life's journey, and ultimately when did you move to Michigan and become the businessman that you are. We want to talk about that with you as well. And if you have any questions for Perry, text them to me right now, 231-360-5140, and I'll be sure to get your questions and comments in with him. Again, Perry Johnson, meet the man. He's running for governor. We're going to take a short break. A word from our sponsors. We'll be right back. Staying through the break is Perry Johnson. The man is running for governor here in the state of Michigan. Perry, so let's pick up after high school. What was your life journey? What happened to you? Where did you go? And ultimately, when did you end up in Michigan?
Well, what happened is my parents didn't have the money to send me to school, but I got through, and I was a good student in high school. I went to the University of Illinois in Champaign-Urbana, and I majored in mathematics. I then went to graduate school here in Michigan, which is what caused me to go to Michigan. And I got my first job at Borg Warner. So it was very interesting because they hired me as an engineer, even though I never had an engineering course. I did invent a couple of things, but I was eventually in charge of Ford Motor Company's account, and we did about $550 million a year with afford. So at that time, the Japanese had come in with tremendous quality, and they were kicking our butts because they were able to produce the engines of the car so much better than we. Their quality was better, and the prices were lower. We had quality issues then, and I noticed back then that we had a problem, and I went into, I remember the Lima engine plant. I'm looking at the operation, and I see they have inspectors at the end of the line, and they're either reworking the part or throwing it out. And I'm saying to myself, this is a ridiculous approach to quality. And so what I did was I started at the beginning of the process, and I had them iron out variation, and I used my background in statistics. And with the help of the line workers, we ironed out variations. So systematically, we introduced statistical process control. And in a matter of about 4 or 5 years, we ended up having the best quality in the world, and we ended up literally reducing the cost by about 40 to 50%. I wrote a book, ISO 9000, the quality standard, because I thought quality should be a way of life, and it took off like hotcakes. Now had people calling me left and right. Ford Motor Company bought into the fact that they had quality. In fact, Caldwell and Peterson, they loved it. I said quality should be job one. They loved quality as job one, so they ran.
Oh, it became their advertising brand. I love it.
So yes, and then I persuaded them that there's no way on earth that they're ever going to have good quality if they just have quality in their companies. They have to have quality by the suppliers. If the suppliers are not supplying quality, they're just assembling junk. And so they mandated that the suppliers have this quality, and they demanded as SPC everywhere. Well, when I wrote the book ISO 9000, it took off like hotcakes, and Perry Johnson registrars and Perry Johnson laboratory accreditation. Now we do business in 67 countries. Actually, I think my president of the registrar said, no, it's 70-some countries now, but literally, I am now the quality guru of the world. Now, I've spent my entire life bringing quality and efficiency to companies. That's all I do. I mean, I am literally the expert of experts at that, and now I want to use those skills to bring quality and efficiency to our state government. Now, I believe that our government is nuts. And when I say that, I believe just like Trump, that we throw all this money away. You see how efficient we have become. That we literally got rid of, a couple 100,000 workers. We haven't missed a beat. And let's face it, President Trump is of the same philosophy. I have spent my life bringing quality and efficiency to companies, and now I can do it to state government. If I do that, I will now be able to eliminate the state income tax while improving the quality and efficiency of all of our services. Now, in order to do that and really accomplish that, you really do need a guy like me. You can't really expect a politician to come into our state and suddenly make this state efficient. They've never done this. I would not expect a surgeon to go in and defend me in court. I wouldn't expect a neurosurgeon to fix my hair. If you are going to have heart surgery on one of your loved ones, or maybe on my mother, I'm not going to go and ask one of these politicians or an attorney. I'm going to ask a cardiac surgeon. So if you really want to bring quality and efficiency to a state, you really need somebody like me, because this is what I do. This is what I've been doing all my life. And I can do this, and as a result, everybody in the entire state will have an opportunity to have almost $5,000 in their pocket every year. I say that every family. And the reason we came up with 4747 is that the median income for a family of four in the state of Michigan, after you get the deduction, is $111,690. You multiply by the 4.25% state income tax, it comes out to $4,747.20. So when we do that, we're returning $4,747 every year in their pocket. Now, we simultaneously have to understand that our senior citizens are really hurt by a lot of these property taxes, and we have to do something to modify what we're doing there. Unfortunately, property taxes are not an easy thing to change instantly, because let's face it, you need a constitutional amendment for most of these, and that is a Herculean task. So what I'm going to do is eliminate this income tax. I will ignite our economy. We will cause people to want to move to Michigan. And the beauty is that we're giving an incentive for the students of Michigan to stay here. We have 550,000 students within a 50-mile radius of Metro Detroit. We lose 40% of them within 5 years. Why don't we give them an incentive to stay here? Do you know that every single state that has eliminated the income tax, without exception, has ignited their economy? And we've had a population decrease in Michigan over the period of the last 30 years. We lose people year after year. I say we change that. Just like Tennessee. Tennessee had the same experience. They eliminated the income tax. Suddenly they're booming. And where did Ford build their plant? Their new plant? The bastion of Michigan.
Yep.
Really a company that is a foundation for our thriving and building. They went to Tennessee.
Yep.
And at one time, we were an amazing state. People flocked from all over the world. We were really a bastion for the middle class. And for the first time in the history of the world, somebody in the middle class could come and work and earn $5 a day, where they could suddenly support their family. They could have a car, a house, send their kids to college, and people flocked here. Well, we can have that again. What we need is somebody who can go and take this state and suddenly get rid of all the stupidity in their spending. Some of the stuff is nuts. We threw away $11 billion in 1 year by overpaying unemployment and Medicaid.
Right.
We spent almost $1 billion trying to increase the speed of the Amtrak train by 10 miles an hour and didn't even succeed. And let's face it, the budget was $56 billion when Gretchen Whitmer took office. Now it's $88 billion. Or roughly 87 and a half. Now,
right.
If they had just gone up at the rate of inflation, and that was the only increase we had, do you realize we could not only have eliminated our state income tax, we'd have extra money to spend on trying to reduce property tax. So the bottom line is, it's time that we start being efficient. Now, when I'm governor, we're going to audit every dime. Instead of having all this waste, all this money thrown away, I want the people to keep their money. Wouldn't it be nice if we could say, okay, we are a state where people get to keep their money instead of throwing it to the government and having them waste it?
Amen.
Because we are a state
Amen.
that can thrive again.
Yeah. Perry, I want to ask you a question then, because it is actually a couple of text messages that have come in. So you're concerned not only about eliminating the income tax by reducing spending, but you also have a very much an interest in reduction or potentially maybe the elimination of property taxes, is what I'm basically hearing you say.
Of course. And that's particularly important for the people that are retired. Think about how horrible it is. You spend all your life paying for your home. You finally get it paid off, and now you have to pay this income tax, this tax on your property every year. It's onerous, and it's painful, and it's not fair. The only reason we end up doing this is because we have to take all your money because the government has decided to spend it so inefficiently. Right. And they have the nuttiest arrangement, if you really think about it. Think about how stupid it is. They get a budget, and in every single department, they have to make sure they spend every penny in their budget every year. And if they haven't spent it in the last 90 days, they're looking for any possible way that they can throw this money away. Now, if we ran our households like that, we'd all be broke. Yeah. I mean, it's the stupidest setup I've ever seen.
Yeah, now, Perry, I got another text message, not to interrupt, but my phone is blowing up here with text messages. What is your position as governor regarding education? Our schools are broken, 44th in the country.
I am so happy you brought that up. Do you realize that Gretchen Whitmer invested an extra $1 billion a year, every year, because she wanted to improve the quality of education in reading and writing? And yet, we have gone from 28th in the country to 44th in the country in her regime. Do you know at one time we were number 3 in the country in SAT scores? Now we're about 3 in the bottom. And do you know why? Because of the stupid things that they do. Now, they eliminated phonics in their school. Now, think of how dumb that is. Now, I have 3 kids. Two are 17, one's 22. When they were 1 year old, I bought the letter factory so they could learn phonics from the beginning. In fact, my wife was yelling at me because she was getting sick of hearing about it. Every letter makes a sound. The A says ah. The B says ba. And you know what? I learned phonics. That's how I learned. We eliminated that because the two basic things that we need in order for kids to learn, phonics and vocabulary. They have to understand what the words mean. Yeah. Those two ingredients will allow us to really do something in that area. Now, we have to start very early on. Trying to teach people how to read in 8th grade is not the answer. The best time to teach them is early on, and we have to change our approach. But they don't bother to look at that. They just think throwing away money, that's the answer. It's not. And let's incentivize our teachers. Let's also have a voucher program where people get to send their kids to the school of choice. I mean, there are so many things that can be done in our education system that not only won't cost more money, we could probably do a lot more for less. We spend $25,500 per student. We're number 5 in the country in spend and 44th in our effectiveness. Now, do you consider that quality?
Not at all.
You need the quality guru is what you need.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got other text messages coming in. I do want to ask you just on a real quick, short answer before the bottom of the hour break. What is your position on firearms and the Second Amendment?
Critical. Our forefathers fought for that. Understand, the First Amendment, free speech, that right behind it, firearms. And then keep in mind how important they are. I'm going to just talk about hunting and fishing alone is such an important part of Michigan. And when I was a young boy, I was a Boy Scout. In fact, I became an Eagle Scout. I used to spend time with my dad. We would go fishing. We would catch perch. And right after that, we would cook the perch. And some of my fondest memories are being with my dad doing that. Some of my fondest memories are out there. Think about it. When you're with your father and you're hunting and you're going through that, these kinds of experiences are things that you treasure all your life. And here later on in life, when you reflect on all these things that happen in your childhood, it's just a handful of memories that stay with you. And that is something we cannot take away. And
Perry,
our forefathers fought for it. It's our right.
Perry, we've got a ton of text messages here. Can you stay through the bottom of the hour break with us?
Will do.
All right, sir. Greatly appreciate you doing that show. Second half hour of hour number 2 here on this Thursday. Staying on through the break with us. Greatly appreciate it. Perry Johnson, he's running for governor. And Perry, I've got like 37 unread text messages, but I see the subject line. So you're really striking with my audience, but about 7, 8, maybe 9 of them that I've looked for through the subject lines basically is a very similar question I had. And that is, Perry, if I had your money, I would not be spending it on a political campaign to run for governor, and I wouldn't even be on this radio show right now. This microphone would be dead air because I wouldn't be here. Rod down in Lake County, loyal listener, Patriot, says, why is Perry willing to spend so much of his own money to become our next governor here in the state of Michigan?
Well, the bottom line is that I have the most perfect life on the planet. I have the most wonderful wife in the world. In fact, we're very bonded, almost bonded at the hip in so many ways. I have 3 wonderful kids. 2 are 17, 1 is 22, and I want them to want to stay in this state. I want them to love this state. And I've recognized that I've been so fortunate. And you reach a point where you say, it's time for you to give something back. And I'm a person that knows that he has the skill set to be able to fix our problems. Not many people have that. I've been very fortunate because I've had so many years of experience in doing this, and I know exactly what to do. So it's about time that I stop thinking of Perry and I start thinking of what I can do to make the world a better place. Now, maybe I can't be the Pope. I was right. That's not something that I can do because let's face it, Well, I don't know. I guess it's called the reason we continue to survive.
Sure.
I am very, very attracted to my wife, and we're very, very close, and I have 3 kids as a result. But I am in a situation where I know that I can give something back to our state, and I can make the world a better place. And you know, there is no greater feeling in the world than a feeling that you've made the world a better place because of you.
Sure.
And in this particular instance, I'm having so much fun, and I feel such a joy inside. Granted, I don't need any more money. I'm very, very lucky the way things have worked out, and that's because we live in America where the opportunity is there. And I want to teach my kids that the opportunity is there. We have a phenomenal state. Have you ever thought about how fantastic it is that you can live in a state and you can go to a baseball game? I'm 30 minutes away from the baseball game. I can't wait for opening day on April the 3rd.
Yes.
I love going to the football games. They're only 30 minutes away. When I lived in Chicago, it was an all-day affair. It took forever to get to a game.
Sure.
You know, and then we have these lakes.
Actually,
we have more
Perry,
lakes than any place in the world.
Right. You know, one thing that was really interesting, you mentioned that, is I saw you and your son sitting behind home plate at a Tigers game last year, and I texted you about running for governor, and you said, I don't know, Trucker, I got a lot to think about. And it was really funny. And I'm like, yeah, I loved it. Hey, Perry, I got a text message. Person says, I absolutely love Perry's answer. It reminds me of the country song by Randy Travers, the 3 Wooden Crosses. I guess it's not what you take when you leave this world behind you. It's what you leave behind when you go. And so that's basically what you're saying you're willing to do for the state of Michigan.
And love doing it. It's a wonderful feeling.
Wonderful. Excellent. Next text message real quick. Where do you, as the next governor, working with a new, hopefully Republican Attorney General, where do you stand on repealing a lot of these gun laws that Governor Gretchen Whitmer and the trifecta Democrats did to our state? Safe storage, red flag, all of these things they did. Are you of the opinion that you feel those laws need to be repealed since they did not change our state constitution?
They do need to be. Now, you've got to understand that the damage that has been done over the last 8 years is so severe. And it's like we're not even living in America anymore. So that has to change.
Absolutely.
The greatest thing about this country, we believed in freedom.
Right.
You know, I campaigned for president, and I remember being in New Hampshire, and it's live free or die.
Yeah.
And they really believe in that. And by the way, New Hampshire has the #1 school system in the world. It's not a bad idea to copy theirs, and they teach phonics. So
oh, yeah. Yep.
We have to recognize that we are the great country we are because we believed in freedom. And I believe that was right in the beginning, right in the preamble of the Constitution. So I say that we start realizing that we need to live like Americans.
Absolutely. Got another text message, actually quite a few of them. As you know, we had some funky things happen down in Detroit during the 2020 presidential election. And they want to know, basically, as the next governor, do you support all these things, the SAVE Act that they're trying to pass in Washington? Do you support election integrity reforms here in the state of Michigan?
Absolutely. Now, do you know how absurd? Do you understand how absurd they really are? A lot of people don't realize that in many ways, some of the things that Gretchen did were wacko. We wanted to have on the ballot, we would have on the absentee ballots, we had a line, it is illegal to vote more than once. And it was passed by our Congress. She vetoed it.
Yeah.
Now, how nutty can you be?
Yeah.
If you want to get on an airplane, you have to show ID. If you want to go to the bank, you have to show ID. You need ID for just about anything existing and to do anything. And yet,
sure,
they will not have that for the greatest privilege we have, and that is the right to vote. Now, it is completely absurd, and I don't know how on earth we can countenance this. So the only way we can solve this problem with the situation that we have right now is for the federal government to get involved and pass a law that you have to have voter ID. Do you know that's about an 80% issue? I think it's 83% of the people believe that we should have voter ID.
Yeah. One other quick question, kind of a follow-up to that. The election laws as written under Governor William Milliken back in the 1970s, for some crazy reason, Perry, says that if a counting board in, for example, the city of Detroit, if it doesn't balance on election night, you can't recount it. It's like it's completely ass backwards.
It's stupid. It should be just the opposite, right?
Exactly. Is that crazy? Can we get that law changed? It's an election law. Can we do it with a new Republican Senate controlled majority?
We need to have we need to have a trifecta, which means we need to have the House and the Senate. So we need to get everybody on board. And it's really important in this election that we understand that we have an awful lot to correct because the damage that's been done in the last 8 years is so severe. So we have to work hard as a team to make sure that we have that straight Republican ticket in every possible way.
Now, one thing that is already relevant and clear to me, Jocelyn Benson has the Democratic nomination locked up. She's got all the union endorsements. Her opponent, Chris Swanson, is basically unknown statewide. She's been elected twice as Secretary of State. She's going to be their nominee, Perry. This is so critically important. The Detroit mayor is a Democrat, but he chose to run as an independent. How do you see November shaping up? If you win on August 4th and you are our nominee as the Republican, how do you plan to go after the November election? Benson as the Democrat, Duggan as the independent.
Well, I like the fact that Duggan is running as an independent. That's a good thing. And I like the fact that we have this situation because it is helpful. I do believe that Duggan is going to take 2 Democrat votes for every 1 Republican vote that he takes. And we never get more than about 10% out of the city of Detroit as it is. You have 650,000 people there, and we don't get any votes there to begin with. And I think he's going to do pretty well there because he will, in fact, endear himself to those people because, let's face it, he has been the mayor for some period of time. Nobody can say he doesn't have good name ID in Detroit.
Sure.
Now, Jacqueline Benson is very interesting because she is the perfect example of the kind of thing that happens in our political era where people use politics as a way to become rich. Her husband is getting $7 million for a commission on all these data centers. And when we have these data centers being built, they're soaking up all sorts of energy. So the cost for energy has risen. I could be wrong on this, but I think it's about $232 million was the increase that they had about 3 weeks ago, and now they're asking for another increase. And who pays for that increase?
We people.
Do. You do.
Yeah.
All the people here are paying for that increase. So it's amazing when you think of Pelosi on her salary of what I think on an average it was under $200,000. What was it anyway? It varied
170. Yeah.
$170,000 a year. She can accumulate $100 million. She must be a great saver. So,
right.
So think of how absurd this is. This has to end. The corruption that we have going on in politics has to change. Now, here's the thing. Because I'm literally funding my own campaign, I don't even think I have a donation site up yet. And I'm paying for everything. I'm not beholden to anyone. What happens to politicians is they have these people setting up these PACs. They give them $1, $2, sometimes $5 million. And then they're beholden to them because of the fact that they help them get elected. I don't have any of that because I'm funding my own campaign. So as a result, we're in a situation where you have somebody that is not in any way motivated because I don't have anybody that I owe these dues to because of the fact that they gave me the money to get elected.
Exactly. Well, listen, Perry, I know you're crazy busy. I know you have another event coming up here shortly. I want to thank you for coming on the show today. I do want you to mark your calendar. Ted Nugent is coming to Liberty Mountain, USA on Saturday, July 25th to do a fundraiser for the Michigan Republican Party. And I'd love to see you there. And just thank you so much for coming on the show, spending time with us.
Well, thank you and enjoy life.
You too, sir. Stay strong out there on the campaign trail.
Okay, Tucker.